You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Michael, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. My name's Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
Glad we could all make it tonight.
Oh, well, almost all of us.
We might want to head to our basements. There's a storm brewing around town. Sounds pretty serious. Michael got a head start on us. He headed down to his basement.
There's a storm coming, and one of you is ready. Great movie quote.
I haven't watched Tombstone for a while.
Tombstone? That's not what I'm talking about.
What are you talking about? There's a storm coming.
Take shelter.
Oh, I
no, that's tell them hell's coming. Or
yeah.
You know, I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah.
Hell's coming with me or something like that. No, the storm one is that scene with Michael Shannon in Take Shelter where he yells at that bingo hall full of people that aren't actors. It was like a bunch of people in Ohio that they just went in and filmed this scene and Michael Shannon went nuts and scared the hell out of these. It was great. It's great. Anyway, I sent you a message this week, Jordan. All of you guys. I sent a message yesterday. A trailer dropped, and I said if I had a Nick Cage podcast, this would be a banner day.
Yeah, I saw that popping up around the internets. A new Nicolas Cage movie, Pig? Is that just called Pig? Is that it?
Yeah, I believe it's called Pig.
I'm looking for a truffle pig. Someone stole her.
I don't understand.
Tell me you are.
You made the right choice being out there in the woods. There's nothing here for you anymore. There's really nothing here for most of us. Buy yourself a new pig.
What are you thinking?
I remember every meal I ever cooked. I remember every person I ever served. You live your life for them, and they don't even see you. You don't even see yourself. We don't get a lot of things to really care about. Who has my pig?
It seems, I kept seeing people call it John Wick with a pig instead of a dog, but it doesn't seem like an action movie. It seems more like a Loki, dealing with the past. He was like a prize chef.
We're going to do that in a minute.
Loki, yeah.
We're going to talk about Loki dealing with the past. But.
Yeah. We're all about connections here at KPP. Yeah, he was like a world-class chef or something, and now he lives in the woods with his truffle-hunting pig. And somebody stole it. So he has to go back to civilization to rescue his pig. How about it?
Yeah.
The trailer, I just watched it, and the trailer looked like one of those weird TV commercials that you don't understand what they're selling.
Truffles. They're selling truffles.
Yeah.
Truffles. It's where it's at.
So...
Nicolas Cage Central here. Late Night Cage Fight. These are the guys we've talked about them before. They are reviewing 2 Nicolas Cage movies at a time and picking the winner. And that goes on in a format. So they're going to try to watch every Nicolas. He puts out about 4 years. I don't know how they'll ever get done.
Yeah.
So he keeps adding new ones. But yeah, nickcagefight.com. You can find those. And they are into what they're calling the golden age of Cage. So they're into the 90s right now. Some of those early 80s movies, he was just working for Francis Ford Coppola and was like a bit player in some of these movies. And these are not, the best movies. But here in the 90s, we're getting into the real meat of his career. And the most recent one was Guarding Tess versus It Could Happen to You. So they put the two comedies together.
Oh, those are both something. I always liked It Could Happen to You.
I did too.
So
Rosie Perez on Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Bridget Fonda.
Yeah, Bridget Fonda, yeah.
So yeah, they're on their way toward 8mm and Snake Eyes and Face Off and what do you call it? Con Air. The epitome of Cage is coming up soon. So, and you should check them out. And this most recent one, he tells you how you can get a free Late Night Cage Fight sticker just for sharing some of their posts. So they'll mail you a sticker.
No, the Rosie Perez's White Man Can't Jump. But isn't she in?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That movie.
Yeah,
I was sitting there thinking that's not right, but I do remember she was. What was she? His girlfriend in?
You know what? It sounds like you need this podcast.
I do. I'm all messed up.
You need to recap.
White Man Can't Jump. That she's on Jeopardy, but I was thinking she was in.
That sounds right.
Yeah, you're correct, because she is married to Nick Cage, and he tells the waitress as a tip, if he wins, he'll give her half of the winnings from the lottery ticket. And Rosie Perez,
that doesn't make her very happy.
Right.
Yeah. It's good. So what? Computer problem.
See, I figured Michael would be here to commiserate with me because Seth, you just had computer problems logging in tonight. Michael had a whole journey today where he bought a computer with the wrong charger attached to it. So I thought we could all have a pity party about how our computers aren't working. Well, I had my software I use, the point of sale software I use to sell comic books is 15 years old. And every year or two, I would have to renew the license. It would pop up, a red screen would pop up. You have to renew the license, call this phone number. And every time that popped up, I thought, oh no, this software is very old. Let's hope this number still works. So the last time I called, they said, this has reached its end of life. We are no longer supporting that software. But we will give you a code to unlock it. That way you'll never have to get a new license again. It'll work forever, but it just won't. There won't be any updates, or you won't have to. And
you're thinking, I never upgrade anything anay.
No, exactly.
It's always going to work.
Exactly. So the computer I'm using isn't even hooked up to the internet. It is just a
point of
cash
sale.
register.
Yeah.
Because I don't want it to get slow. It works for what it needs to work for, and that's it. Well, the last update was like May of last year when the world went crazy. So they sent me a link and a download, and since my computer's not hooked up to the internet, I did it on my other computer, put it on a thumb drive. I'm like, I can use this. I'll put that in, update it. That'll work. I got to the end. I followed all the instructions, and it didn't work. I was like, oh no. Well, no one's leaving their houses, so no one can come and help me. No one can come and help me do this. But I had a year. Before the license ran out. Well, a year goes by. I hadn't updated it. So, and actually, the last time I called, the guy remembered me because I had to call the last time.
This guy's still using this.
Yeah, he's like, "You're still using the software?" He literally remembered me. That's how few customers they have on this. So, I'm like, I cannot call this guy again. I can't take it. I can't be berated by it. So a year goes by, the screen pops up again. Oh, your license is almost up. Oh no. So I couldn't, it was beyond my ability. So my brother came in. I was like, hey, can you just stop in some night and help me do this? Because he's a little more adept with computers than I am. We spent about 3 hours doing everything we could. We re-downloaded it. We hooked the old computer back up to the internet and tried to run it directly from there and not on the thumb drive. And I had every folder on the computer open and it wouldn't work. So I finally had to call my IT support. My older brother's guy he's known since kindergarten teaches at the career center and is a computer teacher basically. Right. So he has helped me anytime I'm well above my well above my head. So he came in, and it took him a minute. So we both, Jared and I both felt good. Like, we weren't stupid. We didn't, it wasn't something very simple. You didn't click that. So it was saving one part to one file and another part to a different file. And if they weren't in the same folder, it wouldn't update or something. So eventually got it figured out, but I had to call in a literal teacher of the computer sciences to finally get me out. But my computer is now unlocked. It can last forever.
I was going to say another 15 years.
He was getting a little frustrated. He almost changed the date on the computer to 1921 to give me another 100 years. He was just going to try and trick it and work around the computer because he wasn't figuring it out. But we eventually got it done. So me and that old DOS program are going to ride into retirement together.
Oh, my gosh.
Right into the black.
Oh.
You got it.
Wow.
That's pretty good. I'm glad it had a happy ending. That's good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
speaking of antiquated computers,
but low-key time things. What's up with this new Loki show? We're 2 episodes in. It's called Loki. It's called Loki.
It is just 6 episodes total. We're only getting 6. And they now drop on Wednesdays. All the Disney shows are going to drop on Wednesdays, and the movies on Friday. So that's the new format.
Yeah, that's the new thing. Yeah, and they're grabbing Wednesdays because they don't need the weekend. They're so big, we can do it on Wednesday. We don't have to compete with Netflix. We're just doing our own thing. And
it must have worked. It said that it was their most watched. The first day downloads were better than Wanda or Falcon, and it said in the first week it was the most watched season premiere for Disney Plus in the first week. So I had kind of predicted that. I thought Loki was a fan favorite of this, so and the Marvel shows have been huge with the general population as well. So it's no surprise to me. It's a huge hit already.
All right. So what do you guys think?
I really liked that first episode. I know you had commented you felt it was a little played out at first. They kind of
quickly
that.
I would just say the aesthetic is that 50s 60s tech, and I was just commenting like I like that, but I liked it the first 20 times I saw it.
We've seen it
that is a thing. Like the Legion was like that, and I feel like did the Dispatches from Elsewhere have that kind of aesthetic? I can't remember, but so many of these
Umbrella Academy was the biggest.
Oh, okay, I didn't even watch that, but that is the go-to for this type of thing, and I feel like it doesn't feel original. Now some of the animation and things that they're doing add something to it, and I like it, but like I said, I'd almost like to see a different era used for this kind of stuff. But
and the Umbrella Academy is superheroes dealing with variance in the timeline, and it's that you write something or you type something out on a typewriter and put it in a pneumatic tube, and it shoots over to the office, and a secretary gets it and brings it on a tray.
Yeah,
it's Mad Men sort of feel, like an office feel, and it has the same vibe. So you want something a little different from Marvel, I guess, but.
Yeah, I had.
So that was really my main thing is it didn't feel fresh in that respect.
I hadn't put that together until you commented. I'd already watched the episode and I was like, okay, this seems like it's going to be fine. It's not a series I was overly excited about. Like, I need more Loki, because it's a character that we've been watching since Thor. And he was in the main villain in the Avengers, and he's been in it feels like over a lot of movies over and over and over again. So it wasn't like a Falcon Winter Soldier thing where I felt like there was some new story to tell. But I did really like the first episode. I'm gonna have to watch the second one again because there was a lot of talking and a lot of stuff going on in my house as I was trying to trying to watch
and
it,
on the show. The show is heavy exposition.
Yes,
just tons of explaining. I know they have to. They don't. They only.
Yeah. It's the only way you're going to get there.
They're trying to. This is mainstream, and they're trying to explain this to the general audiences, which is tough. Like I think another issue I had with it, and I feel this is my issue, not theirs. I love the idea of the show. I never was a Doctor Who fan, even though I tried it, and it never, like, I made a couple episodes. I was like, no, but this is like what I feel like I want Doctor Who to be. So I do like this, but there's I think honestly, one, I've seen the aesthetic so much, and two, I am a time travel guy. So
right.
This is all of these ideas are played out in my head. I have a Time Watch RPG that I've worked on, and it's this kind of stuff, and I just feel like everything they're talking about, I've already exhausted my brain thinking about, and it's new to some audiences, I guess. But
yeah, that's definitely the other thing I kept hearing it referred to. It felt very Doctor Who in its structure and feeling. But yeah, that's the old Stan Lee thing. Every issue is somebody's first issue. So this show, you can't rely on them to have seen all 20 movies and Loki's character development. You've got to go back over it and at least explain the bare bones of where he is. And I hope people are, it's not, like you said, it's kind of over-explaining something that's not that complicated. But I could see people being a little confused that this isn't current Loki. This is 2012 Loki.
right.
He is the time variant. So in Endgame, when he stole the Tesseract, he created a new timeline that wasn't supposed to exist. And so this is the Loki. He hasn't had all that character development. He hasn't had Thor 2 and his mother dying, Odin dying, him becoming more of a hero, bonding with Thor. He hasn't done any of that yet. So he's still the cocky 2012 villainous Loki who thinks the world revolves around him, and that, the Avengers, they're just there to deal with him.
I think they're trying to do both, though, with that, because you're right, he is not that character, but they're getting to let him be that guy.
He binge-watched that character.
He binge-watched himself, and now he is that guy. Now he's like, okay, yeah, my mom died, and I like my brother, but okay. So now I'm there. I am that guy again. And I like that. I like the fact that, like, the Tesseract and okay, how are you going to do this? We did Endgame. This is the biggest thing. How do we make this interesting, this next step? Well, it has to dwarf everything you've already done. So now the Infinity Stones are just paperweights to this story. They're nothing. We're big. This is the only thing that matters. When things happen, yeah, we know. Okay, yeah, it's just really belittling what has come before.
It really is.
And that idea of it's all predestined, it all happened, it's going to happen or not happen. It's already decided. There's no tension or drama
I have a complaint about that, because that is not how I've ever taken that. I've seen other time travel things say that. Oh, it doesn't matter what I do, it's all predestined. That's not what I take out of that. Yes, you still had free will to do. It's not like you didn't get to choose what you did. I never liked that. Well, doesn't matter what I do, it was predestined. Like, I didn't get to decide. No, you still decided what that was. Whatever you chose, that's what they will have already seen. I don't know. It's a little scruple I have with that. It's like people act like they have no free will with what's going to happen. No, you still chose what you did.
As another powerful cosmic trinity once said, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice.
That's true. And they know what's up. Those guys, which one of those guys is Kang? One of those, Alex Lifeson is clearly Kang. Okay, anyway, so I don't know. I like the Mobius character Owen Wilson's playing. I like that the only thing they kept from the Mark Grunwald based character is the stash. He's got the Grunwald stash from that character.
And it's so funny. I don't know. I've never read any of these. I don't know anything about the TVA or that character, or I don't know much about Kang, really. And then I go onto Reddit, and there's a whole board full of experts who know everything about the Time Variance Authority and their appearances in the comics. Like, come on, nobody knows this stuff.
Yeah,
this is real obscure. I know you may have watched a YouTube video, but let's not pretend we're experts.
Yeah, I did have to look up in one of my omnis here that apparently the girl that was like the judge or whatever, and then she was in the second episode too.
Ravonna Renslayer.
Yeah, she's in her first appearance is Avengers 23, issue 23, and she is with Kang. So I would expect her to be some sort of villainous character at some point, be revealed. I would think, because she's a Kang related character, but not. I'm sure that will change everything about her. We'll see.
I told you guys this just didn't really click with me, which I don't know why. I seem to be of the wrong opinion. Everybody seems to be loving this show. It's getting the same kind of over the top response, like I said, on Reddit or any of the social media places I've looked at. But it just, something about it didn't work for me. And I can tell you very plainly, like, I didn't take any notes. Both these other shows, I sat there and, what happened? Oh, that's a great quote, or this is important. This is a reference to that. And like, just this show didn't have any of that. Nothing about it was like important enough to me to even write down. Which is probably a bad sign.
They're banking a lot, and I'm okay with this, but like, I'm just tuning in to watch Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson. Like,
yeah, and I love both those actors. I like the characters are good. Loki's a terrific villain turned anti-hero. Like, I like everything about it, and I was really looking forward to it. But just I'm not into the alternate reality stuff, which I've said this next phase might be a miss for me with all the multiverse stuff, quantum verse, all this stuff. That's not my bag. A little goes a long way for me. And that idea of, it's also blasé, like, oh, we're going to go into a type 7 apocalypse situation or whatever. It's like that kind of, like I said, the drawer full of stones, waving off all this big important stuff as just kooky day-to-day office fun. Like, that just didn't click with me as something I really want to watch right now. So I'm not sure.
I get it. There's something about it that's a little too lighthearted, I think. But so I like the second episode better. I like the idea of, I did like where they went into these apocalyptic situations, and it's like, well, what minor thing could we do? Let's do. He's like, let's tell everybody the world's.
Yeah,
That was neat, and
and
I like that.
The big reveal at the end, by the time this episode comes out, it's going to be all over everything anyway. So, spoilers for episode 2. But this is Lady Loki, or is this Enchantress? Because I've seen both. I read, one of the. I'm sure you guys have seen also that in some country they list her by Sylvie, which is that character. Okay. The Enchantress character, the newer Enchantress character or whatever. So, seems like that's what's going on. I'm sure Jordan knows more about her than I do.
Not really.
Yeah.
Well, we know it's
some sort of character that was given some powers, and who knows? I don't know.
It's all leading to Kang as the new number one.
Like I don't know how far we're going to get there, or are we just going to keep getting a little hint? I doubt we're going to see the actor as Kang or anything, but I don't know what this is seeding for this next step.
I mean, if we do see him, it's going to be just that last 10 seconds. Yeah. So leading into Ant-Man and.
Yeah, definitely something is up. Not everyone's on the straight and level. The whole, there's something they're hiding there at the TVA, or not everybody is who they say they are. Something's gonna twist by the end.
Yeah, there's some different. There were some obvious things they were trying to get you to know. Like, I don't know what the deal was with him, with Owen looking at the pen or whatever she had. and said she had some pen. It was like the Franklin something University or some school, and just like he's like, "Where'd you get that?" Oh, so it was just like, what was the? I don't know what that's referring to. Though sure, it's definitely going somewhere. It's like something to do with something else, but it was just so blatantly obvious. I like it, the little touch they keep doing where they have all these drinks that are you can't get anymore. Like people have these drinks from different moments in time. You know, wasn't there was like a Disney drink or something in the first episode. I figured you'd be all over this, Cliff. There was a drink apparently that was something to do with Disney, and then there was a drink two different drinks or something. There's one that was that in the 90s, that juice box that Richard what's his name? I can't remember the guy.
Much like Jordan, I haven't been paying. I've watched it, but I'm not paying like super close attention. I haven't went back and watched it again on any of the episodes yet, for whatever reason. But I mean, it's likable enough for me that if nothing else, it'll fill in some space till the next series shows up. So
yeah, I was curious,
I'm judging it against the other Marvel stuff. So yeah, it's as far as just an hour of TV, it's delightful. It's fine. Yeah. But just as the next big Marvel thing, it's not hitting that spot for me. But I can see why it would. As I said, people love Loki, and he's definitely big for that the side of fandom that is into the shipping and the cosplay and the different costume designing and fan art and that kind of stuff. Like this is a great. We're going to see a lot of variations on these characters and different timelines and what if scenarios and like I said, the fan fiction writers and that kind of stuff are going to go hog wild for this because it's going to play right into those hands. But my problem with I saw a headline, one of many headlines a couple days after Loki confirms Coulson stayed dead after Avengers in real MCU timeline. I don't know what they're talking about, and I wasn't going to click it.
Because didn't Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. retcon it or something?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't. Yeah, he obviously did. But no, we have a real MCU timeline now.
Yeah.
And people are going to start arguing over, well, this is, fact, this confirmed, Mephisto confirmed, that kind of thing. And what's real and what's not, what's retcon and what's changed. And that's, I'm a fan of time travel to a degree, but when it gets to that kind of nuts and bolts nonsense of, because of this stray comment, that means this movie from 8 years ago now has a new context. No, just stop. I don't need a scalpel to dissect this stuff this way. I just want a fun show, please.
Yeah. Hopefully that's. I will say that some of the simplicity that it feels like it has to it, they really do need to keep it as simple as they can for the mass audience and for all of our sake. We don't want to have to think too freaking hard. I liked what they did in Endgame. All of that was the way to do the time travel stuff and make it fun. And hopefully, there's going to be a ton more of that and all this multiverse stuff. And there's going to be a lot of fun that's possibilities with that, but they have to make it make sense and not give people too many threads to pull. So we'll see what happens. So far, so fine.
The miracle they pulled off having 20 plus movies like clockwork all intertwined could all blow up if you want to start changing things and tweaking things and going back and rewriting some things. That's my worry. I haven't had reason to worry for a long time, but that's my only real worry through this next phase of things. But there's only 6 episodes. It can't be a huge.
How much damage could they do?
Yeah, right. That could be part of the reason we're moving fast. And he became an agent and then betrayed the agency in the span of half an hour. So.
Yeah, I like that twist at the end there where he went through the door and stuff, and that's not what we were expecting. We were thinking he's going to be going around with Owen Wilson doing what they did the first part of that episode. So I like this jacket. This variant one.
Yeah, I think the day that episode premiered, they already had a walk around Loki character in Disneyland wearing the variant jacket.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
that's cool for Disney because usually they're behind.
right.
Like
For
they'll
once,
come out. Okay, now we'll have somebody a year after their movie came out, they can show up at the park.
Always playing catch up.
Oh no, Perlmutter won't let them. They got to go to Universal.
Perlmutter.
So yeah.
So what else?
Well, while we're on Disney Plus shows, I did finish up just last night. Been meaning to do it for a while, but I don't think we ever really talked about the Mighty Ducks remake, the Mighty Ducks : Game Changers. But it was a cute series. They brought back Emilio Estevez.
Emilio Estevez, the Mighty Duck Man. I swear to God, I was there. Of course you were. You were the one who yelled the Breakfast Clubber's name. I was like, Emilio! So, anyways.
And added Lauren Graham from like Gilmore Girls and all that. And all new kids. So, set in present day years.
The kids would be in their 40s now, so hopefully they're all
right.
kids.
Well, they actually brought back a big
That'd be
chunk.
great. They were all still in school.
Yeah.
They never graduated. They all
Hey,
became.
coach, when's practice?
Yeah. They're all pro.
Yeah.
City, kids city league. They've been kicking these kids' asses every year.
We're all at the same skill level, Jerry.
So they did bring back the most of the kids from the original series for an episode, which was fun, and to see what Gordon Bombay was up to in a Ducks reunion type of thing. But the basic premise is Bombay is nowhere to be found. The Ducks are now the premier team in the state, and they're like the Hawks were in the original movie. They're all the rich kids with the lawyer and doctor parents who force their kids to play hockey because it looks good on their college resume and they win state titles. They take all the fun out of it. So that's the basic premise. One kid gets cut from the team. His mom decides that they're going to put their own team together. She gives a big speech. Lauren Graham names herself the coach and calls them the Don't Bothers, which is just a terrible name. They have terrible logo, terrible uniforms. Everything about it is terrible. But that's the basis of the story. I think it's 10 episodes. It's actually pretty cute. It's a fun family show you can watch with your kids. And everybody is fine in it. It has a happy ending with a callback, so it's a good time. So family, if you're looking for something to watch with your little kids, then it's fine. It's just as good as the original Mighty Ducks were. It's just TV format. So watch that. And then anything else on Disney Plus, guys? You've watched Black Widow's coming out very soon. Do we want to stick with TV or just switch over to movies right now?
Well, I mean, there's still lots of TV here. We got
okay. Keep going with TV.
Still watching The Bad Batch. I didn't watch today's episode yet, but
I watched it this afternoon. It was good.
I know that the last episode I saw, they were getting back to some of the core storyline, and then
got some.
I watched a new show.
Ooh,
yeah, I watched a new show called Kevin Can F Himself with Annie Murphy. I think her name is from Schitt's Creek. Is that correct?
Yep.
So now she's in 2 shows with some questionable titles.
Now I noticed this isn't out on the regular network yet. It's only on the stream. It's advanced. It dropped it in advance on the streaming channel. So a little bonus if you have the streaming channel.
It's on AMC Plus, which this is Prime Day is coming up, and they have a deal on Prime. You can get it's a few different channels for 99 cents a month for 2 months. So I was like, well, I can watch this show for the next 2 months for $1.98. And so I went ahead and got it and watched the opening night for that show was 2 episodes. So I watched both those first 2 episodes of it. And it is an interesting take. Did you guys see what they're doing on this show?
The gist of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of an answer to what all the sitcom wives have had to deal with. It's always a goofball husband on a sitcom with some hot wife that, just gets crapped on because she's a nag and all that, So there was a show, the title comes from that Kevin James show called Kevin Can Wait. I never watched it, but apparently in that show, because, of course, it was the King of Queens, him and Leah Remini. Big hit for years and years. Well, then he had I'm sure he had other shows, but there was a show
his next
few years
big
ago
show
was Kevin Can Wait. And he had, I think I may have watched 5 seconds of an episode and was like, nope. But his wife on the first season, I don't know, at the end of the season or beginning of the second season, they killed her off.
Yeah, they killed her off and brought back Leah Remini.
Yeah. Well, they brought her back. I think they brought her back at the end of the season, and he had just better chemistry with her. So they were just like, they asked him why they killed this wife off and barely mentioned it. They just, it was just they ran out of, they didn't have any good story ideas for her. So they just killed her off. And now we'll just have, now he's more in tune with his kids and having to go to their functions and stuff. It's just like so blasé to kill her off, and just how that type of character is treated as a crutch for a storyline. And so this show was kind of inspired by that, and hence the title. And the show starts out. It is a bright sitcom house. Looks very reminiscent of All in the Family, Married with Children. The couch, stairs going up, and all this. But the husband. I don't know the actor's name, but he's like bug-eyed and just like obnoxious and jokey, and I mean it is sitcom humor. There's a neighbor guy is always there, and I think the neighbor's dad maybe is there, or who knows who the dad. It's somebody's dad, and they're just constant jokey garbage. And she's the wife, coming in with the laundry and things, and then she leaves the room and goes back through the swinging door into the kitchen. As soon as she goes in there, the aesthetic is more like Breaking Bad. It's like dark, and she accidentally smashes a mug and cuts herself, and there's a roach crawling across the floor, and she stomps on it. It's just, all of a sudden, it's like a gritty type show. And you make the connection quickly that if it usually sticks to this, if Kevin is not in the room, it's no longer bright and sitcom-y. There was one exception to that, but mostly it's like if he leaves the living room, it goes dark, and all of a sudden it's gritty in there, and you're in the same room, but they've just changed the whole look of it. And it's like the neighbor lady that was jokey or whatever in there, if she walks outside and walks by the neighbor's house, she's like smoking a cigarette on the porch, and it's like, it's just it's a totally different show. It's very dark in those moments, and I'm going to stick with it. It's like 8 episodes, I think, but it's a very interesting take. I love the idea. I don't think they're executing it as well as they could. So, and the episodes are too long. They totally should not be hour episodes. They should be half-hour episodes because they kind of drag. But we'll see where it goes.
That kind of reminded me. Betty Gilpin was just on one of the talk shows this week from Glow, the star of Glow. She's in that new Prime movie, The Tomorrow War, with Chris Pratt,
Mm-hmm.
and she was explaining that movie, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm Chris Pratt's wife, and he gets drafted into an alien war, and he gets zapped off to war, and so I'm at home, and the movie then starts following me dealing with losing my husband." And all the stresses that go into raising my kids. Oh, I'm just kidding. That's not what the movie's about. Like, she was basically like, I have no real part in this movie. I'm just the wife who he leaves. So I was like, wow, she's out marketing a movie and also kind of slammed the whole idea of, the action hero wife. I was like, way to go, Betty Gilpin. This seems like the TV version of that.
That's funny. Yep. It's this show, you basically see what happens when what does the wife have to deal with the rest of the time if she really had a husband like this and neighbors and like this and everyone was obnoxious and treated her like garbage. What would she be doing in her free time?
Right.
Yeah, that earns a watch just for the novelty and the breaking the format that we're really using.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I watched, I'll just say real quick, is I did a Sopranos rewatch. I had watched it back in the day, basically with everyone else. Was the beginning of prestige TV, a new way of shows stepping it up. And I'd always wanted to go back and rewatch it. I had the very controversial ending, but I bought a book. I had bought a Breaking Bad book, like a watch along, episode by episode reviews collected and stuff. I think this book I got was Alan Sepinwall and Matt Zoller Seitz, just very popular TV critics in the last 15 years or so. And they had done this book for Sopranos. It's got interviews with David Chase and stuff at the end. So each episode I would stop, read the review, read the thing. And I caught all kinds of stuff. I was, I'm willing to admit there was a lot of stuff connections and themes and things through the episodes that I don't always catch, some stuff I would just laugh out loud when I read it, because I'm actively making myself watch the next episode and go, okay, what is it? I want to not be surprised by the review. I want to be like, I caught everything. Never did I catch everything. So it was always neat to see what the connections I missed or how every character in the show, in that episode, was dealing with the same type of thing. And I had not seen that, but it was really fun to rewatch it with that kind of analysis as I went through it. So, and I still haven't finished the book after he went through all the seasons. There is a bunch of interviews with David Chase that I want to read, but it's good. So I'm looking forward to doing that again sometime. I bought the Mad Men book. I'm going to rewatch someday of that.
What's the name of that HBO show? The Carrie Coon and the religious
The Leftovers.
Leftovers. I did that. Back when the AV Club in its heyday did that. They did a review of every episode of all these prestige shows, and then the comment section would get 800 comments of people having these lively debates and things. So that when I watched the Leftovers, I went after every episode and read the review and read it all, and it really made me miss what the AV Club is not that anymore. But they have a whole lot of, if you watch The Wire or any of these real complicated shows, that's a great way to do it, to go back and read the stuff as you're going instead of trying to cram it all in at one sitting. Right.
Yeah. It was definitely easier to do that instead of okay, I've seen the whole show. Now what was the analysis? It's definitely fun.
Well,
I checked out the. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say the much anticipated Dave season 2 for us. That was a biggie for us. I just watched those last night. Episodes 1 and 2 dropped the first week, and I mentioned to you guys, I've after watching those, I was completely depressed, much like Dave. So I don't know. What did you guys?
I get depressed because it shows me how little I'm into current pop culture, even though I do a pop culture podcast. All these guest stars, I never recognize anyone on that show. Right. The girls in the pool, I didn't know that was a Kardashian and a Bieber or somebody. I don't know any of these people that are these real hip people that are having cameos on this show. The rappers and the musicians, I don't recognize any of them.
Yeah.
I watched these episodes. Cooper had not watched season 1. But I turned it on when he was in the room, and he sat there and watched the first 2 episodes, and he was pointing, because I might recognize them or the name if they say it, but I don't immediately pick up on it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's who that was. But he was calling.
Yeah, once
out,
the credits run, I'm like, oh, I recognize that name, but I can't put a face to it.
Yeah, Cooper was calling people out as it was happening, and it actually kind of helped me in some of those scenes. Then he wanted to try. He's like, oh yeah, Little Dicky. I've been watching him since he came out on YouTube, and I'm like, I know that's the premise of the show, but he was giving me his whole experience without ever watching the show. So that was interesting, but yeah, I mean, man, what a bummer start. I
like that but you could tell at the end of that second episode that they knew, they found out that episode 9 was had such an impact that they had to bring that back around.
Yeah, and the first time he played this, I was like, oh, don't do that. Don't bring it back up. Don't just let it be. It was a wonderful moment. Don't ruin it. But then by the end of the episode, I was like, okay, I saw what they did there, and it kind of brought it back, brought the whole thing full circle of what he was trying to, recreate or whatever. So
good stuff. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
I'm just over here twisting nips, bro.
Yeah, that was good. Gata
is the scene stealer of every episode.
They get pretty graphic. He just looking. I was like, wow, they were just gonna just show anything.
Yeah, nothing is off the table, and that table may have a hole cut in it. So
yeah, not anymore. He's got contraptions.
Yeah, he's went robotic. So, anyways, okay, what else you got there, Jordan?
Just gonna say the Netflix series Sweet Tooth had debuted the day we recorded the last, so I had a chance to watch all 8 episodes. They're all about 40-45 minutes each.
Some stories start at the beginning. Ours begins here. No one knew which came first. The hybrids or the virus? But that question would become the biggest mystery of our lifetime. This is a story about a very special boy. A boy we come to know as Sweet Tooth.
This is the DC/Vertigo series by Jeff Lemire. It's a little boy who was born, they call them hybrids. He has deer antlers and little deer ears. And could be poor timing. It's about a virus that escapes a lab. And at the same time, these hybrids are starting to be born. So all the babies being born are part animal. So they don't know, did this virus cause the hybrids? Or they want to believe the hybrids caused the virus. They want to blame the hybrids for doing this. So the hybrids are being hunted. They want to experiment on them to kind of cure this virus. So it's kind of a dark premise. It is a post-apocalyptic sort of series. But it's also... there's a little bit of violence and a little bit of language, but it's almost like a family show. It's this little boy has to go out on a quest. He's looking for his mom. He's never left home before because it's too dangerous to go anywhere with these antlers. He can't blend in anywhere. And the main little kid is pretty good in the series. He's very, I think someone says he's got hope coming out of every pore. So he is just an optimist. He doesn't understand the dangers of the world. So he has a real bright, why can't we save the day? Why can't we find my mom? Why can't we get out of this situation? So he hooks up with a guy who has seen the dark side of the world. So they have to he has to protect the kid, but the kid's bringing out the the protective father figure and the big man, he's called. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was really strong. The effects, the little hybrid babies weren't great. They were like, it just looked like fur patches glued on some of the kids. Like the effects, the practical effects were not great with a lot of the kids. But there's one he was like a groundhog kid that everybody's gone crazy for. So Bobby was his name. So he is the breakout star. This cute he just wears like Oshkosh overalls. He's just a little groundhog boy. So I think it's worth a watch. I've never read the comics, so I don't know where it's going, but I thought the first eight episodes are pretty strong.
Yeah, I have not watched that.
I did watch a couple real quick one real quick movie. Disney Plus, Raya and the Last Dragon is free to watch for everybody. So I did finish it up last night. Took me a couple weeks to actually to watch the whole thing. Watched it in pieces, but it's good enough. I didn't love the first half of the movie. Thought it was kind of slow. It was kind of convoluted. They're trying to do, it's a fantasy story, but it's almost, it's like set in a real centuries ago, basically. But yet it was kind of like Tangled. They were trying to do modern references almost, and I don't know. It wasn't doing it for me until the very, probably 3/4 into the movie. Thought the ending was pretty great. They brought it home. As far as that goes, I don't want to give a whole lot away about it, but it involves a fictitious land that had been saved by dragons at one point. The dragons basically sacrificed themselves to save the people. And then, of course, people are terrible and they do nothing but fight amongst themselves and don't help each other out. And they have to figure out how to do that again. So, but as far as Disney movies goes, it's fine. It's just, I don't know. I didn't think it was quite up to their standards, but it's probably still better than most animated movies. And then finally, I got to bring it up, guys, and I know you guys probably didn't watch it, but HBO Max is, as well as in theaters, In the Heights. It's absolutely wonderful.
Let me just listen to my block. It's quiet. Usually the one train's up there screeching.
There's so much stuff going on. Just got me thinking about all the people I care about the most. There's a breeze off the Hudson. And just when you think you're sick of living here, the memory floods in. The morning light off the fire escapes. The nights in Bennett Park blasting Big Pun tapes. It's a story of a block that was disappearing once upon a time in a faraway land called Washington Heights. Who's gonna notice we're gone? Say it so it doesn't disappear.
Washington Heights!
Look who's home! Bad changes happening on the block since you've been at school. When it came to dreams, we had to keep scraping by. Ice cold piragua. It's silly when we get into these crazy hypotheticals. You really want some bread, then go ahead, create a set of goals. I pick a business school and pay the entrance fee. And maybe if you're lucky, you'll stay friends with me. They used to say, you work hard, you live by the rules, the things will come, and those things will heal you. I'm not gonna sit here and give you some fairy tale. Ignore anyone who doubts you. Cause this place, this is it. I just want to see the whole world through our eyes. Let's go!
Go show them who we are.
Today's all we got, so we cannot stop. This is our block!
This is the moment when you do better than me. Because you can see a future that I can't.
Sonny, you're late. You know you love me?
It very well could be my favorite movie of the year. I've watched it a couple times already. It's about 2.5 hours long.
I heard it was really long. Every reviewer I've heard said it was too long.
Well, I know the book. I know the book. The people have said it's very massive as a story. That he based the Broadway production on. So this is Lin-Manuel Miranda, his big first initial hit. I think he started when he was in college at like 19 years old with this project.
He was in The Sopranos, by the way.
Oh, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Didn't notice him the first time, but he was showed up in there.
Yeah, so he started doing this like in 2005. This was his big, huge, being discovered moment. Got brought up to Broadway, won a ton of Tony Awards, and then I think set a record for Tony Awards. It's all it's about a neighborhood in New York, Washington Heights, that is slowly disappearing. It's full of Latin heritage from people from the Dominican Republic, people from Cuba, Jamaica, Puerto Rico, all over the Caribbean. And he originally started in the Broadway production. In this movie, Anthony Ramos from Hamilton, he takes the leading role. He plays...
I am Usnavi, and you probably never heard my name. Reports of my fame are greatly exaggerated. The
main character in it that Lin-Manuel Miranda played in the play, and you can immediately tell he wrote the music for it. He wrote it for himself. A lot of the songs have a very, it predates Hamilton, but you can definitely connect the dots between the two and the style. Just, because he wrote it for himself.
I'm not going to connect the dots.
Right. So,
no, that was good. Don't shake your head.
No, I'm just worried because I saw this headline the other day. I had to relook up how Lin-Manuel Miranda went from cool to corny. Over the past 4 years, the star musical composer has become a symbol of millennial cringe. I was really worried. Why is Gen Z TikTok turned on Hamilton star? Teens on TikTok have begun mercilessly mocking the Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright. And I thought, what has he done? Is he going to get canceled? Is something going to go wrong? But then, relax. It's mostly down to Miranda's cringe-inducing, lip-biting selfies. So the kids today are dragging Lin-Manuel for these uncouth selfies.
Wow.
So...
Well,
his train might be over. This might be his last hurrah, guys. So just enjoy life.
When Gen Z TikTok turns on you.
Yeah.
He said chuggy. I'm going to use a term the kids use. Chuggy.
Sounds like a villain that should have shown up on the costume list. Gen Z TikTok.
I will just say, I don't want to give much away about it. It's got a lot of people talking. It's a beautiful movie to watch.
I might watch it.
That was another late night bit. The Seth Meyers did, one of his Latina writers.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, she has a review, and it cut to her, and she was just bawling.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so beautiful. They ate flan. Like she couldn't even describe why, but it was just like that idea of just seeing that representation and just a joyful celebration. And it doesn't matter what the story is, and the critic take doesn't matter on this.
I just remember the trailers coming out for that and West Side Story. Spielberg's came out around the same time, and I was like, the Spielberg trailer was a billion times more interesting to me. Like, I can't wait. I like West Side Story, but I can't wait to see his version of it because just like it was kind of epic the way the trailer was cut. And then I watched the In the Heights trailer. I was like, ugh.
I actually saw Lin-Manuel Miranda in an interview kind of addressing, I think it was him addressing that kind of thing. The fact that for the past 50 years, the Latino culture on Broadway has been exactly that. And it had not progressed. And they were still doing the same bits with guys and, gang members holding knives and snapping fingers and nothing has been done since then. And he's kind of gotten a lot of praise when this came out because he addressed that and he showed way more actually about their culture. And and giving, a much more diverse representation of it. And
even he had to apologize.
Yeah,
it wasn't diverse enough.
Yeah, it's almost like you can't do anything right. But yeah, then there was some criticism about, the lack of Afro-Latino representation in this movie. And he has
taken zero selfies. He has taken zero selfies that address that concern.
Right. But he did an interview on The Daily Show with Trevor Noah and kind of addressed it. He asked him straight up about it, and I thought he gave a pretty good, he owned it. He didn't deny it. He said, I'm sure that's probably true. I have to do better from here on out, and that's all I can do is just acknowledge it. Try and be better than that and move on from it. And I was like, well, I how can you criticize that? He owned up to it.
No, that's the whole thing. That's any kind of cancel culture and stuff. If it's like all the obvious way to handle it and deal with it right is if there's something that was a problem, just apologize for it and try to do better. And it's like so many people are scared to do that. Right.
Exactly. So, he's just such for me, he's such a likable guy. He seems like, he is obviously has some sort of genius to him, whether it's been Hamilton or this, or, we've seen him do other projects like even Disney's Moana. He did the music for. He's wonderful. And then
Sopranos.
He's got Sopranos,
all his work,
of course.
All his work in Sopranos as a bellboy.
Everybody knows him from that. But then he has that new Andrew Garfield, that Tick Tick Boom he directed coming out that's getting a lot of hype. So I've talked about him before. I'm obviously a fan. I like his work. He plays a minor role in this movie. Some comic relief. He does bring in some of the original cast. Christopher Jackson, who played Washington in Hamilton, had originally played Benny in the Heights. He comes back, plays Mr. Softy, the rival to the Shave Ice guy, the ice cream man. Extra credit scene.
Professor Pig there.
No Professor Pig. But I honestly, I can't say enough good things about it. My son and Cooper and I watched it together. He stayed up. We were up to like 11:30. He had to get up early the next morning. He's like, I have to watch the end of this. Everybody else went to bed. And then Carly and I watched it together. She absolutely loved it. One real quick thing. She's a big Hamilton fan. I think I've talked about that before. She went with some friends to Washington, D.C. last weekend. And to do some fun, celebrate the end of 8th grade, going into high school trip with her friends and a couple parents. And they did, they went to do some touristy stuff, see the memorials and the monuments and all that stuff. But on the last day before they came home, they stopped at Mount Vernon and toured Washington's home and all that. And let me tell you guys, only my kid comes home with her own damn fig tree from Mount Vernon.
Like the scripture says, everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. They'll be safe in the nation we've made. I want to sit under my own vine and fig tree, a moment alone in the shade.
And you guys might not get that reference, but Hamilton fans will. There's Washington's farewell address in the song. Washington sings and dresses, about getting his own. Everyone should get their own fig tree and sit under their own vine. And my damn kid came home with a fig tree from Washington's house. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Was that the work going on in your yard this week, planting the tree?
No, that wasn't the work going on my yard this week. We haven't planted. She's taking care of it, but we haven't planted it yet. We haven't picked a spot yet. So, but definitely pretty awesome stuff. I would go see it in theaters. I watched it at home on our big TV here, and it was great. It's got to be great in theaters, though. What an experience! If you liked anything about Hamilton, you're going to find something you're going to like about In the Heights. And that's all I got.
That's all I got.
That's all I got then.
So,
well-oiled machinery that
yes,
we have.
Indeed.
I think the storm has passed. I'm not hearing the thunder anymore. Hopefully we escape the worst of it. And we'll be back when skies are brighter. Is that a line? That could be a line for a musical, right? No?
It could be, but it's not.
The trees are figures.
You don't know every musical. It could be some musical you haven't heard.
It sounds more like Sesame Street.
I'm trying to think of the theme song to The Sopranos. I can't think of it now.
Oh, I will say this: that
get a gun.
It should have been higher on our list because just watched the beginning a million times when I on this rewatch because it's so good. I'm thinking it must have got beat out by something with an original, a more for the show. I can't remember what beat it out, but it's a good song.
So check us out. Our next episode, check out Nick Cage fight.
Late night Cage fight.
Late night Cage fight. I knew that. It's late. Check out source material from Jesse Starcher. He's been playing a bunch of classic episodes. We went out and re-edited.
Mm-hmm.
Some source material. Classic. Maybe if you missed them the first time around.
Good on him.
Listen to Dueling Ogres. Thanks to Brandon for his comment on the Facebook page.
Yep.
He said he wished we would have gotten second place in the voting, which is the nicest thing they've ever said about us. So listen, support your local podcaster. Give them a listen, give them a download, give them a comment.
Which is the nicest thing I've ever said about it.
Hey,
Wow.
We are good frenemies. And we'll be back soon. My name is Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
The hesitation. Bye forever.
Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udamwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, please sign up to be a patron through the Podbean app or our website, www.udamwithkpp.com, to receive special content and early access to some episodes. We are grateful to anyone that chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will always remain free, so please continue to like, comment, and share.